Hey everyone, welcome back to Make Others Successful, a podcast where we share insights, stories, and strategies to help make you successful in your workplace. My name's Mitch. If we haven't had a chance to meet, I'm joined by Mike and Matt. The usuals. We have an interesting topic today that we aren't quite settled on a name for yet, so we're gonna you'll know what the title is based on what you just clicked on.
But we won't.
But the things that are rolling around in our head are things like no one's coming to save you, or you are on your own, but that's maybe not a bad thing. Like oftentimes, even in life, not just work, when we have a problem, it's really easy to look at it and say, oh, well, that will resolve itself, or someone will come in and fix it and make it better, and that's okay. And I'll just wait it out. All the things that we talk about, it makes it easier to automate your business and streamline your processes and communicate and collaborate and all those things. But that doesn't mean it's done for you. AI is attempting to take the place of critical thinking and do things for you, but it's not there. And so we're in this world where you still need to do the work. Even though the tools are easy, life becomes easier. And so we're just going to be talking about that.
Too often in the recent past, I think a lot of the technology in business in particular has been, you spend $5 million on a brand new ERP system and it does change things because everybody's coming into this monolithic thing and you're all moving as a whole business in this way. And now it's more like knowledge workers and employees are being enabled by these tools to do their job better. And that is different, right? They're not fitting into a machine that is being upgraded. The machine isn't getting upgraded and I'm just pulling some different levels. I'm giving some new tools that are a little bit unformed and now I can go do more with those tools.
Yeah, as you were talking about that, it made me realize in the past, there was maybe a bigger world of knowledge workers, everyday workers, plus particularly specialized people to help with particular problems.
Yep.
And as technology has become more approachable, that gap starts to lower and people say, oh, maybe I could just do this myself.
Yep.
And as they start to flirt with that, all of a sudden everybody kind of needs to jump up that level and do it themselves. And so the gap is smaller, but it requires more of people all around.
Yep.
It's a weird dichotomy of because tools got better, people need to learn more and have more critical thinking.
The expectation is more. I think that's the big thing. The expectation from organizations and from leaders and from the market, if you will, is that you're able to be effective with these tools, right? You're able to not just do the one thing that you're doing, but effectively leverage them to do even more things.
I think this problem also is it gets worse in a scenario where your workforce is aging. And so not to be ageist or anything like that, but I think there's as you get older, you get comfortable. You like things the way they are. And when things change, that can be daunting. It can be a challenge. And so one of the things that I've tried to push myself to be willing to do is always to learn. Just be open to that. That's a mindset shift, so that you don't get left behind, so that you're not in that, you don't have that bitter attitude about these new things. And right now, AI is the big one. Rest assured, there's plenty of older people in the workforce right now who are looking at that and saying either they're intimidated by it or they're like, oh, it's a bunch of garbage. It's no use to me. And they're missing an opportunity there. Because there is a lot of value that can be had.
The modern technologies that are being integrated look more like the social media and the other technologies that the youth is learning in school and in their daily activities and what's going on. And the older generations, they just don't have that background of experience. But at the same time, you have different problems, right? I experience on many occasions where someone who is very well at using some of the tools, but they treat it like it's their personal social media. And so then the way they use it actually isn't effective and is counterproductive. They know how to click all the buttons and know how to do all the things, but their philosophy about it is markedly wrong. And then you've got people in the older generation that have the concept and the strategies are like perfect, just what you want, but they don't know how to apply that to the tools.
But all of those things
it's definitely a thing.
connected to the fact that the tool alone
Is not
isn't
yeah,
enough.
which is
It
what we're
doesn't solve
talking
the
about.
problem, right?
Yeah, people think all the time. I buy this tool, I hire this consultant, I do this thing, and that solves the problem. And there's a reason it's called work. There's a reason why we're leaders in a business. It's going to be work. It's going to be a problem to solve, and the problems that you're solving aren't always market problems. They aren't always positioning problems, external positioning problems. Sometimes it's how do I get my team to change the way their behavior works? How do I move them forward? How would I bring them forward with us into a new way of working? And it's definitely a thing.
Do you think that problem is more questioning the investment or a problem of not having a ready-made checklist?
It's multifaceted.
Because I know
think.
adoption is part of that thing too,
Yeah.
right?
So this is an interesting question because we talk about it all the time. A lot of these things are individual skills that are felt at the organization level. That's how we phrase it. In that world, when you bring in an individual that is highly skilled at those things into an organization that's not, and they have the power, it's going to happen naturally. Like, it's just going to change because that person is not going to want to work the way that everybody else is working, and it's going to go, right? In an organization where no one has those skills, but they know they have a problem, they need a way to get there. And the way that they get there can be varied. It can be lots of different ways to get there. But a lot of it has to do with individuals choosing that I'm going to, even if it's in my own little small world, move that ball forward and have a focus on that, right? And where they're most effective is when at a leadership level, they say, this is important. I want you all to be working on it. Here are some resources that can help you grow in this way. Because as you grow, we will grow together. Like the organization will grow. And then lastly, great, you're growing. Now you have a key person in this process that leaves and you get a new person in and they don't have the mindset. What do?
Potential solution for all of those problems would be something like, if you have a champion, great. If you don't have a champion, see if you can find one. If you can't find a champion, a coach might help. And then in the midst of all of that, you should be assembling your principles into a playbook.
Yeah. It is the modern world, is enabling and empowering people to do that stuff in a way that they couldn't before.
There needs to be an amount of curiosity to jump over that little gap that we're articulating, that the tools come down to. I don't know if it's a status quo, fear of change, or laziness sometimes of, I don't want to do that. I just want to work my way and I'm good.
When you think about how the vast majority of people operate, it's very self-focused. It's not necessarily by choice. They're doing it because it's what's easy. My OneDrive is easy. In the G Suite, my G Drive is easy.
So you're saying it's not selfish in nature?
No. When people unlock the thing of like, oh, I could just do this and then I don't have these problems, yeah, let's do that, right? Once you start to get in and actually have a good experience with one of the tools or start to desire something about a tool, you start to just move that way.
Yeah, it's about that curiosity, that willingness more than anything.
Yeah.
Okay, we're coming up close to time here. So one of the sections here that we want to call out is tools don't enforce maturity all the time. So just because you are rolling out a new tool doesn't make humans be better humans or be better coworkers.
The concept around people having discipline and understanding what they should be doing is it's a thing. And it is definitely an important piece of this.
I would refer people to our foundations course where we talk about how leaders...
Shameless plug.
Go
for it.
Absolutely. Where we talk about how leadership should approach something like this. And one is lead by example, right? Particularly in that messy space. Break down barriers.
You can't say, let's use Teams and then go email people.
That's right.
That's half of what we're talking about is that you have to have the desire to say, we're going to be mature about it and we're going to make that happen and this is how we're going to do it. Instead of just saying this tool is going to fix the problem.
I like to give answers. I like to give solutions in these podcasts. I don't know that we have a magic bullet solution besides try harder or get people that are willing to try harder. So in absence of that recommendation, there's a few kind of parting thoughts I want you to ponder. Okay, so a few questions for you. First is, where am I waiting to be saved? Where are you just hanging out, hoping someone comes in and fixes it so you don't have to? Or what am I blaming on the tool? Where you say, this is the tool's fault. It's not my fault. Let's just live with it. And then the last one is, what responsibility am I avoiding by calling this a system problem? I do that one sometimes. It's just the way things work around here. So I'm not going to apply myself. Nothing's wrong here is what I didn't mean
nothing's
to say.
wrong.
It's
If we're perfect.
Other places. Yeah. So nobody's coming to save you, but don't do it alone. You are expected to do the work.
I resonate with those questions a lot, and I think there are signs if you were answer yes to those, then the question is that something you're really going to solve, or are you going to get somebody else? Because there's a difference between waiting for somebody to solve it, or I'm going to find somebody to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
I think my parting thought for those questions would be simply take it one level deeper and go through the why exercise. After you answer one of those questions, say, well, why is it that way? Well, why is it that way?
Why do I have to do it that way?
Right, exactly. And I think that will help you get a little bit deeper.
Yep.
And I also want to say, if someone was like, I want to hire Bulb so they can be the one to save me, I'm not going to say we can't help, but we can't do it all for you either. Like there's always that time where it comes down to it and we say, okay, now you have to do the work.
At the end of the day, when it's choosing between sending an email or posting in channels, or whether or not it is, using a tool that manages the work, from a business process perspective, or sending an email or a direct conversation or an Excel or making another Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
We're not there. We're not the ones controlling the keyboard. You got to do that.
And if you expect us to do it all, well, then we're not making you successful. We're
Correct.
making us successful.
Make
Only.
others successful, everybody.
That's right.
Wow. What a
Nice-
good way to
nice
round
tie
out.
it in,
You
Mike.
just came around the bases. Grand
You're
slam.
welcome.
Count on you for that.
That was good. Yes. Thanks for listening today. We do always encourage you to fill out the feedback form over at bulb.digital/feedback if you have any thoughts on this episode. And until next time,
Yeah.
we'll see you.
Bye, everybody.
Nice job, guys.